one of the principles that underpins the work that I do and the work my business does is my belief that the head and the body are fundamentally connected. Now, this might feel like an obvious thing to say because, of course, they are. I'm sitting here, there's a head, there's a body, they're joined. But in big business in particular, and more broadly, like just across life, we have somehow developed a culture where we don't believe that those two parts of ourselves even talk to each other, let alone that they're part of an overall whole that we belong to and that we are. So wherever I go in big business, I'm always hearing leaders use very heady language. So they talk about clarity and headspace and whether or not they can think straight and mind talk and all of that kind of stuff. And we very rarely tap into all of that amazing information and data that's stored in our body. And I don't just mean things like emotion, because that's the source. Most emotion is resides in the body and comes from there. But more broadly, I'm meaning all the kind of whispers that our bodies give us that help us understand how we are in any given moment, and also help us understand what we need, how we can be useful to others, and what we should do with what we're doing. And so today I want to just share that idea with you and tell you a very little story about a very specific thing that reminded me of this today, which I think could be useful to you too. So I will come back at other points, and I think you've heard me talk before about this, but I will come back at other points and talk about this idea of integrating more usefully this connection between our mind and our body. But for today first, just a short story and then an invitation for you to experiment with. So a few years ago, I see a coach supervisor. It's part of my ongoing practice. As a coach, it's really important for me to have my own coaches. And I was with one of my supervisors a few years ago, probably 5 years ago now. And he said, Laura, I can always tell when you're about to get on a mission about something because your jaw clenches. And I was like, wow, okay, cheers, thanks for noticing that for a start. But actually I took this idea away of, am I getting clenching my jaw? Do I go on a mission? Do I, get overly attached to things? Do I get really passionate about making stuff happen? And what I realised was very quickly that he was right. And that was going on. And more importantly than him being right and the fact that was going on, it's the fact that was really useful information for me. Because then I could start to listen and pay attention and use that data to help me make more sense of what was happening for me in certain situations. So I started to play with this idea of your jaw gets tight and you clench it when you are on a mission, when you're getting grippy about something. And I started to notice it happening. So at first I would really sort of notice in my head, I'm really angry about this, or I'm not being listened to, or, I've got an opinion and I really want to share it. So, why can't I make this happen? And I would realise that when that was happening, my jaw was clenched, my jaw was grippy, it was tense. And then by paying attention to that, what I was able to notice was that I could start feeling my jaw going, and I would realise at the same time as this was happening that I was overly attaching, or that I was entangled in something and on a mission. And then over time, what I've been able to listen to, and this is I think the really important part, is that I've been able to sort of get behind it, get before it. And what I mean by that is that now physically I can tune in to when I get this salty sort of lactic taste in my mouth that I know now is a precursor to me clenching my jaw. So over time I've started to listen. So we're listening beneath the layers, beneath what's going on. And now when this taste comes up in my mouth, I can listen to it and I can say, oh, what's about to happen? What's about to happen? So before I'm in it, before I'm in the throes of on the mission, in the grip, being visibly irritated to other people, putting my body under more physical pressure than it's needed, I'm able to hear my body and know that it's about to happen. So my body is talking to me before my mind is, and then I'm able to take much more proactive decision and choice about what I do in any given moment. So I can taste that taste and I can think, well, I'm just going to ignore it and I'm going to push through. But at least that's a conscious choice, right? Or more often than not, I can taste it and I can think, okay, I'm about to get on a mission about something. What is it? What's really going on? What's most useful for me to do in this moment? And more often than not, that would involve me then stepping back and kind of, breathing, letting go, reframing a question, changing my physical stance. So the data is coming sooner and sooner. And my understanding from what I hear from people who have either known me a long time or known me now is that I'm calmer, and people would rarely see me lose my grip on something because I'm just much more able to tune into what's going on, so I can stay more present and more useful. So I share the story not because it's about me, because it really brings it to life in a practical way, what we can do when we start to listen to the whispers of the body. So what can you do with this? I would suggest that you could tune in the same way that I did to situations that make you angry, that make you really frustrated, that make you in your body, and start to notice what happens to you when you're in them. So it might be that in the beginning they have to happen, and then you could perhaps reflect as you leave the meeting or you travel home, or if it's a home situation, you go upstairs to use the bathroom. What went on there, and what did I notice in my body? What did I feel? Which parts of me feel tense? Which parts were gripping? Were my fingers clenched? Were my fists clenched? Was my neck stiff? Was there something going on with my jaw? Did I notice that I was doing something with my eyes? And then you can start to then play with that in the situations as they arise. So for a while you might just be noticing, when it's happened, what happened to my body? And then you can start to notice a little bit more in the moment, what is happening to me right now? And over time, trust me, if you pay attention to this, you will start to be able to tune in sooner. And it will help you stay more grounded, more present, more choiceful. And ultimately that enables you to have more impact in the conversations that you're in and the connections that you're in. So the big messages are, one, that the body and the mind are fundamentally connected. The body is often telling us stuff before the mind realizes it. And that if we can listen earlier, we can positively impact our behavior and our expression and our choices. And the second is particularly to understand that one around listening sooner. So the more we place attention on something, if we can listen beyond, listen behind, we can listen to it sooner, and it can be more useful for us that way. So I'm going to leave you with that now as an experiment. And I'm here if you want to talk about it, if you want to share anything that comes up, then you know where to find me. And I will come back, of course, and speak to this concept of we are more than just our minds, and the mind and the body are fundamentally connected, because I think it's really, really important, and it's such a rich subject for us to tap into when we think about how we can be more effective, but also calmer and happier and more content. I'll leave it with you there, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.